As the mayor introduced, the item before you this evening is consideration of the closure or the termination of the Alturas Research and Technology Park revenue allocation area. I just provide a little bit of background. Within the state of Idaho, the Idaho Urban Renewal Law allows for the creation of urban renewal agencies by local governments to create urban renewal districts and to conduct urban renewal projects. In addition, the Local Economic Development Act authorizes the use of tax increment financing by local governments to fund urban renewal project activities. Tax increment financing is accomplished through the designation of revenue allocation area, within which taxes upon future increased property values are conveyed to the URA to fund eligible activities. Some of those eligible activities can include the construction of a wide variety of public infrastructure, acquisition of real property, environmental remediation, and the preparation of a variety of plans or studies. And under state code today, revenue allocation areas can have a duration of no more than 20 years. That was previously 24 years to an amendment several years ago. So as you see, when you establish a revenue allocation area, there is a base assessed value that's established. Then any increased property valuation and taxes that are generated based upon that increased valuation are conveyed to the urban renewal agency to reinvest in that project area through public infrastructure and other activities to spur private investment and economic development. That increases the value and the growth evaluation in a district, and then at the end of the district, at the maximum of 20 years, then the total value then is available to the taxing districts. And so it really is a deferral for a short period of time where those funds can be used to invest and to stimulate other private investment and activity. And at the end of the day, this is essentially the increased value that is realized within the project areas over time. Alturas Technology Park was first established and formed in 1996, and it was a greenfield, really economic development project. At that point in time, the Alturas was intended to provide a location for the incubation of companies that were, for the location for incubated companies that were coming out of the University of Idaho incubator to invest and grow within the city of Moscow. There was a lack of private interest and investment in that target sector, and that is what really drove the university, the city, LEDC, and the Moscow Urban Renewal Agency to partner on this project. The project included the creation of a specific zoning district, the Research, Technology, and Office District, that is focused upon research and technology uses, and it included a revenue allocation area that included 62.1 acres, but a much more focused project area. Phase 1 included 7.37 acres. It was established in 1996, and Phase 2 included 6.34 acres, and that was the amendment and restated plan that occurred in 2006. Within both of these projects, the MURA acted as the developer. In Phase 1, the MURA partnered with the underlying property owner to hold the property while the agency came and made the public improvements and then resold the lots at essentially a raw land value. And in Phase 2, the agency actually acquired the property for the Phase 2 portion of the project and completed the public improvements and development on the project. The revenue allocation area, as stated in the plan, was for 20 years, which was to end in 2016. On the map is shown the outline of the revenue allocation area. This is what we most commonly know as Alturas Research Technology Park, but the revenue allocation area itself, which is larger, reaches to Blaine Street, down to the White Avenue, to the White Avenue Steiner intersection, down the highway to Blaine, back around the south edge of the project to Mountain View. So that's the 62-acre revenue allocation area for the project. Of course, the project area was much smaller. Phase 1 is outlined here in yellow, and then Phase 2 as red. So those are the two individual project areas. And within a urban renewal project or plan, essentially revenue can be generated within the revenue allocation area, but those funds can only be expended within the project area. And so those monies were utilized to help construct the public improvements within Alturas, the public park facilities, and to set up the industrial or technology park. There are a number of successes in Alturas. Within the formation, the base assessed valuation in 1995 within the revenue allocation area was $4.6 million. As of 2008, that had reached over $22 million, which was just under a 13% annual growth rate, which was much more significant than the traditional market appreciation rates. With respect to job creation, over that time period, over 200 highly skilled jobs have been created with average wages in excess of $50,000 per year. And there are a number of other secondary ancillary economic benefits, as a lot of these jobs and companies are exporters, and so there are additional multiplier impacts and benefits to the local economy. There have been a number of high-tech companies that have started and grown within Alturas, including Alturas Analytics, EMSI, which now grew within the PAC-SIM building and moved now to downtown, Comtech AHA, Anatech Labs, BioTracking, and Pacific Simulation as one of the first companies within Alturas Park. As you go through the revenue allocation area, there are a number of stages and procedures that you have to fulfill. The first of which is that the Urban Renewal Agency prepares a closure plan and a closure budget, and then the agency passes a resolution recommending termination of the revenue allocation area to the City Council. The City Council then must pass an ordinance to terminate the revenue allocation area, and then that ordinance is filed with Latah County Recorder and the State Tax Commission by no later than January 10th following its passage. After closure, any residual increment revenue that the agency may have that has come from that district would then be conveyed to the county for disbursement to the representative taxing districts. The Moscow Urban Renewal Agency has determined that all anticipated activities within the Alturas Research and Technology Park Urban Renewal District Plan have been completed. The agency made its last final debt service payment in July of this year, and the agency has also determined that they desire to close the revenue allocation area 1 year early and return the full valuation to the taxing districts as soon as possible. Under the plan, it was not anticipated to close until 2016, which means that there would be additional revenues received for another year, and the agency wishes for those to return to the taxing districts. The agency has prepared a closure plan, budget, and passed Resolution 2015-02, recommending the early termination of the revenue allocation area to the City Council. The budget and the termination plan are included in your packet and are included as an exhibit to the draft ordinance that is also included in your packet. As of this time, it is projected that the agency has roughly a little over $900,000 in excess tax increment revenues from the Alturas district. After some expenses that will be incurred this year, it's anticipated that $767,000 of that dollars of those funds will be available to be dispersed to the different taxing districts. So the recommendation this evening is to receive the Moscow Urban Renewal Agency's Resolution 2015-02 recommending termination of the Alturas Research and Technology Park Revenue Allocation Area and approve the termination ordinance under suspension of the rules requiring 3 complete and separate readings, that the ordinance be read by title and published by summary. With that, I would be happy to try to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, questions for Bill. Walter.
Thank you, sir. Bill, today when you and I were talking about this, you discovered some discrepancy in the way the packet was put together. That was just a packet problem? It wasn't a problem with any of the documents or anything?
Correct. You'll notice that the letter to the city requesting consideration on this evening, it looks like there was a duplication area, but the full copy of the ordinance and the termination resolution plan and budget are included just behind that.
Okay, so we're okay with that. And second question.
Walter, go ahead.
You made a comment during your presentation that in Phase 1, the land was sold at raw land value to the purchasers of those properties. Is Phase 2 priced the same way?
It is.
Okay, so the lots that remain for sale are priced at raw land value?
Correct. It's at the undeveloped rate, or at least let me step back. Property in the agency is sold for what's deemed to be the fair use value of that property. So an appraisal is conducted where all of the conditions or limitations of use based on zoning or based on private covenants or other restrictions are taken into consideration, and essentially a fair use value is established through the appraisal process. There was a separate agreement in Phase 1 with that private property owner, since they were holding the properties and making them available for sale, that they be sold at an approximation of a raw land value, so that essentially the investment that the agency made into the park would provide for lots at a reduced rate available to those targeted industries.
So in Phase 2, that is not the case?
In Phase 2, it is separate through a fair use appraisal, but the value has been held substantially the same.
Okay, you finally got around to the question.
It's slightly different, but it's essentially the same.
Essentially the same. Thank you.
Actually, the only thing I have to say that I've been on the Urban Renewal Agency since it started. One of the goals that we had when we put this first thing together was to end the project as quickly as possible. And it looks like we're gonna be able to end it at least 1 year early and at the same time return a fair amount of money to the taxing districts that have waited a fairly long time to get it. So I am fully in favor of doing this, and I'd make a motion for that to that effect.
Hang on just a second, John. Gary, did you have a point you wanted to make? I see.
Yeah, I did. And being one of the few people left who are here when this tax allocation area was formed back in 1996, I also serve on a statewide board of urban renewal agencies. And with what's going on in Lewiston, just 35 miles to the south, and to the north, 100 miles, I think the city of Moscow and the Moscow Urban Renewal Agency have formed an excellent partnership with Latah County. And this is one of those situations where urban renewal works in Moscow. The objectives of the Urban Renewal Agency, the city, and the Planning and Zoning Commission have all come to fruition. With the downturn in the economy, not all of the lots sold, but as you can see, there's been a huge increase in value in that tax allocation area in the project area, which means that, as Bill indicated, that acceleration just makes better business. And we have businesses out there that otherwise might not still be in Moscow. At least one of those properties has been sold a couple of times, so there's still a demand for that sort of building here. So this is a success. And being able to close it a year early, when the city approved the original ordinance forming the tax allocation area, the city could have made it a 24-year tax allocation area at that time. They looked at it and said, no, you should be able to get this done in 20 years. And in addition to that, they were very careful about proceeding with a smaller phase, going to a second phase. And they wanted to make sure that what was the money that was generated by tax increment in that area was used to improve the project areas. So one of the few times you see that in urban renewal where the money is actually focused in a certain area. So this is just, I couldn't be more excited about it. I know the council members that serve and have served on the Urban Renewal Agency share that same excitement, that here's an opportunity for the Urban Renewal Agency to put those tax dollars back in the hands of the taxing districts, and all of the residual businesses are there to continue to be successful in Moscow.
John, I'll turn it back to you. Because you wanted to make that motion, but I wanted Gary's point in there.
I'd move that we receive the agency resolution recommending termination of the Alturas Research and Technology Park, and approve the Technology Park Urban Renewal District Allocation Area Termination Ordinance under suspension. Of rules requiring 3 complete and separate readings, and that the ordinance be read by title and published by summary.
And I'll second that.
Okay, further discussion? Okay, we've got a motion by John and a second by Wayne to receive the Moscow Urban Renewal Agency Resolution 2015-03 recommending a termination of Alturas Research and Technology Park Revenue Allocation Area, and recommend approval and passage of Technology Park Urban Renewal District Revenue Allocation Area's Termination Ordinance under the suspension of the rules requiring 3 complete and separate readings, and that the ordinance be read by title only and published by summary. I'll start to roll with Walter.
Aye.
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 Okay, and that moves forward, and there's an ordinance to read, and it is,
You got a hell of a title to read there.
yes, I do, 20-15. Okay, we got 20-15, 2015-15. An ordinance of the City of Moscow, Idaho, Municipal Corporation of the State of Idaho concerning the City of Moscow, Idaho Research and Technology Park, Urban Renewal, Competitively Disadvantaged Border Community Area Plan 1996 Revenue Allocation Area, approved pursuant to the City of Moscow Ordinance Number 96-12 and the Second Amended and Restated City of Moscow, Idaho Research and Technology Park Urban Renewal Competitively Disadvantaged Border Community Area Plan 2005. Revenue allocation area established pursuant to the City of Moscow's Ordinance Number 2005-18, directing termination of the City of Moscow, Idaho Research and Technology Park Urban Renewal Competitively Disadvantaged Border Community Area Plan 1996, and the Second Amended Restated City of Moscow, Idaho Research Technology Park Urban Renewal Competitively Disadvantaged Border Community Area Plan 2005, authorizing the city staff to take all steps to implement this ordinance, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinance provisions and providing for other matters properly related thereto.
Bravo.
Holy Toledo. I need air. I need a little oxygen after. Is that okay? Does that sound pretty good to you guys?
Did you get all that, Stephanie?
Well, that's a long-winded version of that, and we're done with